Yes, good evening. Welcome to this lesson, an introductory lesson to C Sharp programming. It is meant for those who want to kickstart the C Sharp programming language. And those who are already in the programming paradigm, they want to sharpen their skills in line with the C Sharp programming. So we are move through going to move through to see how do we go about starting from scratch. We are assuming that no prerequisite information is needed for you to uh, get to use or get to listen or get to move with this lesson of today. So we will be using Visual Studio 2013 because of course I have Visual Studio 2022, but I know most of the recipients of this one will be having Visual Studio 2013. So we want to use that Visual Studio 2013. So that's how you open it. I'm trying to look for it. I have Visual Studio 2022, but I'm not going to use it. I'll be using Visual Studio 2013. This is the one which we are going to use. So that's how we open it. Wait for it to open. It's opening. Just take. Oh, why it's taking ages? Right. It's supposed to take ages like this. Anyway, it is opened. Still seems something wrong because it's not responding. Right. So this is the welcome or the startup page, which which we are welcomed with. So we need to choose uh, the new project. Yeah, some may even use file, then a new project. This is one and the same thing, but I would prefer just going straight here, new project like this. Right. This one, if you can see, we have this interface which we are facing right now has got some templates here. On the templates we have various languages like Visual Basic, we have Visual C Sharp, we have Visual C++, Visual F Sharp, JavaScript, Python, and other types of projects like setup, deployment, and Visual Studio solutions. Right, so we are going to focus on this C Sharp, Visual C Sharp. So on Visual C Sharp, we have various types of what? So I said this compartment, this first section, we are supposed to choose the language which we will be using. And in this lesson, we are going to use Visual C Sharp. That's why we have chosen this one. Then we come here. You need to select the targeted .NET framework. Just a brief for you to understand what is that .NET framework. The .NET framework was introduced by Microsoft in a way to like square up with the Java, because the Java is compiled and interpreted. It's a language which is compiled and interpreted. It is compiled to a Java bytecode, and from that Java bytecode, it will be interpreted by the Java virtual machine to the machine language. That's how Java is. So the Java manufacturers, that is used to be the Sun Systems, now Oracle, they have got their slogan, that is write once and run anyway. So Microsoft, before the advent of before they invented this .NET framework, they used to compile their programs from source code straight to the object code. So it was like the final product will be platform dependent, meaning to say that if the product has been compiled for Windows, it will run on Windows only. If it was compiled for Linux, it will run for Linux only. That's why they lost competition, or they lost the market to Java. Because Java, they will say, as long as you have the Java virtual machine on your device, you can run your program anyway, as long as the JVM is present. So that's when they come up with this animal which they call .NET framework. So the .NET framework now has got some versions. So instead of copying or taking what Java has, like compiling to a Java bytecode, then interpreting the Visual Studio, that is the C Sharp language, will be compiled to what is known as Microsoft Intermediate Language Code, MSIL code. And from there, it will be compiled again to the object code, but it will be using what is known as the just in time compiler that will be present in the .NET framework. So the targeted framework now, it has to be present on the host machine, assuming that I have finished compiling I have finished writing my project. Now I want to deploy it to a particular machine, that is the host machine. So the targeted framework must be present on the host computer where I'm going to deploy my application, because that's where the just in time compiler is present. So if you target 4.5, like in this scenario, there was 4.5, which was the one which was targeted. It means that when I package this application, when I'm running it on another machine, that 4.5 must be present. That's what you need to know. So we have various .NET frameworks. And on that again, you need to know that with the advent of time, with the passage of time, Microsoft, because it also introduced, because this the .NET framework was mainly for Windows. It was mainly meant for Windows operating system. So for it to be cross a platform, it also invented another um, application which is similar to the .NET framework, which is normally known as the .NET Core. So we have .NET Core 2.1, .NET Core 3, .NET Core 3.5, thereabout. So they are now trying to, in fact, the plan is already implemented. They are now merging this .NET framework with the .NET Core, and from .NET Core 5, it's no longer referred to as .NET Core 5, but it's now known as .NET Core. Sorry, it's now known as .NET 5. So we have .NET 5, we have .NET 6, we have .NET 8, and .NET 9. But the .NET 6 and 8, those are the long-term. They've got long-term support. We call them LTS. So that's where we are going. That's where we are moving with the C Sharp language. So you need to know. This is a background for you to know. But for this particular lesson, since it's an introductory lesson, you need not to worry much about that one, about the .NET Core, the .NET, because the .NET is the compilation or the combination of the .NET framework plus the .NET Core has been merged to one, which is normally known as the .NET. So that's what we have as we speak right now. So from there now, we need to see the types of projects which are available. So we have the Windows Forms, we have the console application, we have the WPF. The WPF and the Windows Forms application, they assist us to create a graphical user interface, which will be a desktop application. The desktop application, but they will be like the user will interact with those applications using graphical user interface. That is the pointers, pointing, clicking, and windows and menus. That's WPF and the Windows Forms. Then we have this, the console application. This one now is like we are creating an application that is command line based. The user will interact with that application using what? Using commands. Then we have the ASP.NET Web application. This one is normally used for you when you want to create a web-based application. Sometimes you may, and these are the applications which are now popular, and you need to, as a developer, even if you are not, you don't want to develop web-based applications, but these are now the popular applications which we have now. Then we have the class library, we have the portable, and at your level, at this level, this moment, we are not going to talk about much of this application. We are not going to do much on the Windows Forms application and the console application. Since we are having our first lesson on C Sharp, we are going to use the console. Why? Because we want to learn more about grammatical the grammatical structure of C Sharp. How do we arrange the symbols when we are writing programs in what? In C Sharp. So we are going to start with the console application. So we select console. Then here we give the name. Let's go with the first program in C Sharp. Right. Then we go to browse. Before I just click the browse, now we are here to choose the location. Where are we going to store our program? Because we need to know the location. Because in the event that, let's say I'm using a desktop, there might be a power card. You need to know where to retrieve your files, not to go and click recent files. No, you need to know where. If sometimes you want to copy your your folder and continue your work on another computer, so you need to know the location. So you need to choose browse, so that I select the actual location where I want to. You can even create a new folder depending with what you want. You can say create a new folder. I give it first C sharp, program, right? Select folder and select, right? If you this one is written C in a hash, but it's pronounced as C sharp. You need to know that it's pronounced as what? As C sharp. So you need to click OK. This is the OK which you are seeing here. This OK is the one which I was dragging the screen so that you can see that this is the OK which you're supposed to what? You're supposed to click after setting the name, the location, and the solution name. Sometimes the solution name can differ from the what? From the name of the project, because this name is the name of the project, but this one is the name of the solution. They may be different, but at this level, at this beginners level, we want them to be what? To be the same. It's not a problem. Then you click what? You click OK. Now it's loading. It's loading. Right, as you see, there are some usings which have been already loaded for us. The using system, using system dot collections dot generic, using system dot link you, using system dot text, using system dot threading dot tasks. Right. So these are the usings which we are seeing. We wanted them because they are it's like they are pointing to the namespaces which have got some classes which you may want to use, like the system has got a class which you want to use, which is normally known as the console. The console class has got some methods which you want to use. So in C sharp programming, let me try to zoom out. Yes, right. In C sharp programming, Um, it's normally like, yeah, it's normally 100% OOP, meaning to say that everything which you are going to have, it's either it's a class or a part of a class. Like what you are seeing here, we have a class, and whatever which is inside it will be part of what, of this class, because this one is a method. It's a procedure, because it's got this void. So we have structures. The structures of C sharp, they are normally uh, determined by these curly braces, like this namespace. A namespace is like a folder, because that's where the classes will reside in. Like what I told you, that the namespace system, that's where we have what, that's where we have the class console, which we are going to use now and then you see this namespace first program, a programming C sharp, something like that. This is a folder which has been created, so that's where we have this class program. In this program, you can even change it to whatever you want, depending with what you want. But for the meantime, we don't want to change it. We also have, so this program has got its one opening and closing curly brace. And these curly braces, you must not disturb them, because they are the ones which determines the structure of the what, of the program, the structure of any component, like the structure of the class. It begins here and ends. It means that this is the body of this class, this is the body of this namespace, and this is the body of the of this method. This one is the body of the method main. So you need to know that C sharp, its structures are determined by the opening and curly braces. So in programming, generally in programming, we have about three constructs. Not constructs, sorry. We have three control structures in programming. So we are going to talk about and show one another how do we demonstrate those three control structures. So I'm saying we have about three. Now, right, I don't want this type of commanding. I may want the other one. I want this one, this commanding. Right. One, two, one, right. This one, right. So we are saying we have about three control structures. These three control structures, we have what you call sequence, we have what you call decision making, and also have iteration or looping or repetition. Right. So we are going to start with a sequence. In programming, when we talk about sequence, it's one of the strongest control structures which need to be obeyed, because people, they look down upon it, and some may even call it a symbol sequence. They think that it's not that serious, but to tell you, if you fail to grasp the symbol sequence control structure, it means decision making cannot make sense to you. Even iteration cannot make, because it is the symbol sequence, or it is the sequence that forms the basis for programming. Because you should know that what comes first should come first, and what comes last should come last. Take, for instance, we have been given a question. Let's say we are on the sequence. Let me remove this one. We are not talking about sequence. Right. A question. Write a program that will accept a whole number and add 19 to the number, and finally display ended number. Right. So we are saying write a program that will accept a whole number and add 19 to the number, to that ended number. Ended number, right? Just put something like this so that you can. Right. Write a program that will accept a whole number and add 19 to the ended number. And finally, display the ended, the result, not the ended number, the result after adding 19. Right. This is the question. So as an upcoming C# developer, you need to know that the program must first accept a whole number. And from accepting the whole number, it must add 19. After adding 19, then it must what? Display the result. So we have something like 3 steps. Accepting the whole number 1, adding 19 to the ended number 2, and finally displaying. Those 3 steps must be followed in that order as given by the question. We cannot display the result before adding it. We cannot add before entering the number. So that's how sequence is very crucial. And without obeying and following this sequence, you will see that you are going to encounter some logical errors. Because the logical error, as you were taught on the theory part of programming, uh, it's an error which results to the output which is not desired by the user. The program is compiling successfully, running successfully, but the results are not the ones which was or which were desired by by the developer. Probably you're saying 1 plus 1. The developer wants 2 to be the answer, but the program is producing 0. It means that sometimes you have used a wrong formula, or you have breached the sequence. What is supposed to be done first must be done first, and what is supposed to be done last should be done on the last part. That's the sequence. Now we want to answer that question, that example, simple example. We need to declare, because when we are writing programs, you need to know that we must have some variables which we are going to declare. So the variables is like we are creating some memory, some spaces in the memory. So the spaces in the memory, you need to name them so that uh, when you are referring to those spaces, you use the names which you have given. And the names has got some rules which you need to follow. And I understand from your theory content, you were told that one, we must not use reserved words as variable names, or the variable names can be also called identifiers. So we are not allowed to use reserved words. Reserved words are words which have got special meaning as far as a particular language like C# is concerned, like the word void, or the word int, the word string. Those are reserved words because they have got a special meaning when we are in what? When we are in C#. And another aspect which I was about to forget to mention is this: C# is case sensitive. C# is case sensitive. What does that mean? If you say a gift like this and gift, like this, and gift like this. These are three different words. It's right. Gift. It's now refusing to take the last try. Something like this. These are three different words. Let's say I have declared this one like this. These are three different variables because it's case sensitive. It senses the case. So that's what you need to know that. Right. Let me erase this. So when we are declaring, we start with a data type. It depends now with what we want to store on that particular memory space. Let's say you want to store whole numbers. If you want to store whole numbers, we have variables like the int. It says 32-bit because it holds the maximum number which it carries is 2 to the power 32 minus 1. That is the maximum number which it carries. And it is the most used data type when it comes to whole numbers. But it doesn't mean that this is the only data type. Also have what we call short. Also have what we call byte. These are also the whole numbers. Also have long. So you need to know that we have the byte, the short, the int, the long. Because byte, it's 8 bits. 8 bits data type. Then the short 16-bit, int 32-bit, long 64-bit. So those are the whole numbers. As long as we are going to store whole numbers, because the question says write a program that will accept a whole number, it means you need to store a whole number and add 19. 19 is also a whole number, so no need to use other data types. We need to use types that holds what whole numbers. So you choose from those ones, but int is the most appropriate, the most used. But as far as this one is concerned, you can say the short is the most appropriate. Or yeah, the short, because we're not talking about, we don't know, probably the whole number which is going to be entered by the user will be very large, so we can use the what, the int. So you need to say int, then you give the name of the what, of the variable. But if the question was requiring us to probably accept a number without specifying that a whole number, what it means is we need to choose a data type that will accept a whole numbers and also whole numbers and what, and fractions. Like we have what we call the float, we have the double, we have the decimal. Right, these are the data types which we have for floating point numbers. Floating point, it means that the numbers will be containing some fractions like 0.5. It's not 0.5. There is nothing like that. Even the mathematicians, I don't know why they say comma. There is no comma. A number will not have a comma. It has got a floating point. What it means is the number is now floating from that point, because we're supposed to have a fraction. The number is supposed to be below, but because it is put on top, so it's floating. The number is floating. So where is it floating? It is floating from that point, depending whether you are in denary, you see is the decimal floating point. If you are in binary, it becomes binary floating point. If you are in octal, it becomes octal floating point. Yes, it's unfortunate that I end up diverting the attention to data representation. Anyway, let's go back to our question. We now want to use a whole number, and it's not that we use numbers only. We need to know that on data types we don't have numbers. Sometimes we may want to have some chain of characters. Probably want to accept the name of a person, the name of a patient, the name of a place, a location. So we need to use what? You need to use string. We have a string for that. String, something like this. And you can even have the data types we have, the one with small letter and the one with the capital letter. They are the same, but even you can see the color is a bit different, the shade but they are the same. We have the string. Sometimes we want to store just characters. You can use what? Car. Sometimes we may want to store date. Date. So date is normally we use date and time. Date time, I mean, for you to store date. These are some of the data types which we have. But it doesn't mean that these are the only data types which we have. We can have as many data types as we want. We can even create our own. If you grow in the program, you will see that you can even create your own data type. It's allowed to create your own data type. But for the as we are on these beginners lessons, we are going to focus or to concentrate more on the int, the long, the double, the string, and the car. Those five we are the data types which we are going to work with. So in this, for this example, we are going to use the int. So I say int. We are going to enter a whole number. We can say for number we can say num. Depending, this is a variable name which I have chosen. It doesn't mean that always you need to say num. No, you can even give it the other name, which any name. But it's a recommendation that whenever you are naming variables, the name should not be reserved. Wait, I mentioned that. One, two, the variable name should not be very long because you should be able to remember it. Because it's fortunately for C sharp that it has got what you call intelligence. But some languages they don't have that intelligence. So you need to remember it should be short enough for you to remember it. But it should be also long enough to mean what is going to be held by that variable. What are you going to put in that location? That name should be also accommodated the means. Like in this scenario, I'm saying num for number. At least it has got a meaning, and it must have. It must not contain special characters, especially the space. Variable name should not have space. Like let's say num1 like this. This one is wrong. It's not allowed. It's illegal. It's committing a crime. It's called it's you have committed a crime because a variable name should be one word. Even if you want to say a number one or a first number like this, it has to be what? To be one word like this. That's a variable name. Some may even use an underscore. It's allowed. This one. It's still a one word. What we don't want is writing something like this. It's not allowed in programming. And you say you do something like this, then you are not. It's not allowed in. Right. So I said num. Then you can even put a list of variables in the same line as long as they are of the same type. It's not a problem. Probably I want the result to be also declared. Then C sharp, you need to know that after declaring, you need to terminate. This semicolon or semicolon, they are normally used to determine that we have reached the end of a statement, the end of a command. It begins here and this is the end because we call it a terminator, a destroyer. It's like terminating the statement. The statement has been terminated, and the compiler knows that the statement has been terminated. We have reached the end of the statement. So this one, what we have done here is called declaration. We have declared the variables, and these variables are of type what? Of type int, and they are 32 what? 32-bit data type. Right. Now we have to prompt the user because the user must know that he or she has to enter a number. Yes, information must be provided by the user. And remember, when I started, I said this we are going to use the command line, the interface which we are going to use to interact with it. It's command line based. So here we are going to prompt the user. So we need to give the command the user so that the user will read the command, then he or she will act on that given command. Right. So let us have the command now. So the command is like we say console. Console is a class which resides in the system namespace. So we want to use a method for the command which is normally known as write line. This right line is normally used to display what is inside those round brackets to the console screen. So here we are going to display to the user that enter any whole number and press enter. We are now telling this that after entering the number, you need to press the enter key. Then we don't forget to terminate on the, because we are telling the compiler that we have reached the end of the what? The end of the line, the end of the statement, I mean. So the right line now will display what is inside this round braces. Then after displaying those which are in this round braces, it takes the cursor to the next line. That's what it does, the right line. It displays, after displaying, it takes the cursor to the next line. Right. Now we now want to, the user must enter something on the console screen. If the user enters something, we need to take what has been entered by the user and you put it in this variable. So this line now is now taking what has been entered by the user, and since a it's an integer, so because this one is an integer int, so we are now taking, we are now converting it, sorry, we are now converting it to int 32, because if you still remember, I told you that it's a 32-bit, so you convert it to into what? 32. So convert dot to int 32 is like this one. This read line is a string. It returns a string. It reads the next line of characters from the standard input string. So it reads what has been entered by the user on the console screen. So what has been entered by the user is read, but it is going to be read as a string, not as int, because we have declared this as an integer. It's a 32-bit signed integer. So but this one is what? It's going to read the lines as what? As string. So putting a string to an integer, it's not allowed, because it's like you are taking a liquid water, and you put it in a sack. It will not be contained. So what you need is to probably solidify the water and you put it in a sack. That's what we are trying to do here. We are like solidifying. We are converting this string to what? To int 32. Even if you read the convert the specified string representation of a number to an equivalent 32-bit what? Signed integer. So we are converting it. That's what is being done by this one. Of course, if it was Visual Basic, people may even write without converting. It runs, but that one is a very dangerous act, because people, they think that nothing is taking place, but there will be something which is taking place behind the scenes. We call it implicit casting, but this one now is normally known as explicit casting, because we are the one who are forcing the conversion. And in C# you need to use explicit casting, otherwise it will have some errors. Let us see. Let us remove this one. Right, you see now, you see, cannot implicitly convert string to int. That's what we are being told. We cannot implicitly convert, because we need to perform what we call explicit conversion, like what we did. Yes, something like this. Right. This point we have accepted. We have entered the number. Now we now have to add 19. So you can even say num or result. Right. Result equals to num plus 9. Not num plus 19, not 9. Right. If you see C# now, since it's you terminate each line, I can even terminate below here. It's not a problem. As long as the termination is encountered somewhere, it's not a problem. Though personally I don't like this. Don't like it. You need to terminate just after the end of that line. Not to terminate wherever you want. No. I don't like that, because I will be wasting our space for coding. For some, even press double, it doesn't have a problem as long as the termination was far, well, in some way. C sharp doesn't have a problem with that, but I don't like that. I want it to be as clear as it is right now. That's what I like. Right, so we have performed the addition. Now we need to display. So now we are displaying it. And now displaying the result. So I'm just copying that one because is the one which we use to display console.writeline. So console.writeline is used to display something on the console screen. So you're saying the result is right. You can even use this one. This one is a placeholder. We are saying take what comes after the comma and place it here. And what comes out of the comma is this one is a variable name result. In the result, there is a value there. That is the one which we want. Then sometimes for us to see, we can use console.read key, or we can run without debugging. Like this one, if you go to the debug, you can say start without debugging. If you start without debugging, you will see that the program is going to run, and it will prompt the user to enter the word, enter the whole number and press enter. Right, assuming that you have entered in the whole number, let's say 50. Right, the result is what? Is 69. Is it true? If you perform addition, if you say let's say we are saying where is my calculator? Right, 50 plus 19. Wow, that's 69. So here the program is working perfectly. We have produced the 69. That is the results, which is what? Which is expected, and that's the correct one. So no error. The program is running perfectly. You can stop it. Right. For the sake of those who may be having some, probably they may have what we call practical examination. They may want to run the application, and after running the application, they need to copy. There is need for them to copy and paste. So obviously you need to open MS Word for you to copy your work, because that's where we also have problems with some people. They may even fail. They wrote a program that is running perfectly, but come on copying and pasting, you can say probably this is question 1, like this. You can even have you can say code, then you say output in this scenario, right? So you need to put the code, you need to put the what? Output, right? So the code, this might be the code. They may even right click and select copy. You copy the code, you paste the code. Right, I've kept the source formatting, right? Something like this, right? We may even just enlarge the font, right? Then we need to run. Oh, I ran it the other way. I'm supposed to run it without debugging, because you put your, all right, let me put another number, right? So instead one, the answer is 50. So you resize your output so that it fits well on the screen. You press out, print the screen, to take the uppermost screen, to copy the uppermost screen, then you paste it. As smart as that. So That's how you do it when you probably are writing a practical exam. Sometimes there are some scenarios where you are supposed to write a practical exam, and you make sure that your presentation is what is good. And even if the examiner, if he or she is examining your work which is presented in this manner, obviously, even if it's not the correct response, if it's presented nicely, you will not score a zero with this nicely presented work. Obviously, you will score something, right? Something like this. So that will be the way. If let's say you are writing a practical examination, something like that. Right, let's go back to our because we were talking about sequence, because now we want to um, have a roundup so that we can even have an end to this video, this lesson, because the introduction, we have shown one another on how sequence is used. Let's say we want to display. Let's say we are displaying. All right, let me put this line. Right, assuming that put something like this, because obviously in C sharp it tries by all means to not to distort, not to use a variable before it is assigned a value. That's why there was complaining, right? Let's say I put that one. This is the one. Then you see the result is 0. This is now a logical. The program is running perfectly, but it's producing what? Wrong results. Why? Because I have broken the rule of sequence. Here I displayed before performing what? Before performing addition. That's why you are seeing the output is what? Is 0. But the result at this point after addition, it becomes what? It becomes 50. So that's the sequence. I know you may have some questions on symbol sequence. You may have some contributions. You may even put them in the comment section. That's where you may need to put your comments, your questions, whatever you want. The comment section is available for you to put your questions or whatever you think might need some improvements, because I'm doing these lessons to assist those who may want to become developers, not only in C sharp, because once you know the basics of programming in one language, you can even navigate to other languages. So uh, that's what I am saying. If you have something, you need to put in the comment section. Don't, like always, don't forget to subscribe and hit the what? The notification button. Otherwise, I can say